Hey everybody, welcome to Q&A video number 39. Make sure you keep asking questions, doesn't matter what they're about. They can be about anything. Just know that I don't respond to view requests or Let's Play requests in these videos, but I will respond to them in the comments. You can post your questions in the comments below, you can put them on the appropriate section of the forums, or you can send them to me via PM. We're starting today with a question from Einherjar32, I think that's how you pronounce it. Let me know if I'm pronouncing that wrong. What is your opinion on existentialism? And I think he meant predeterminism, but he says predetermination. The ideas there being, of course, existentialism being life, the meaning of life is what you make of it, and nothing else dictates what the meaning of life is. With big works, of course, being from, say, Nietzsche and Sartre, and, of course, Kierkegaard. But the thing is, I find their views really interesting, but I don't agree with them necessarily. Because they tend to be pretty morbid. And it's just like, oh, life has no meaning except what you decide. So you're just sitting there like, what? I mean, I'll leave it up to the individual to find their own path, but I do find the existentialist views very interesting, and I do find the works of Nietzsche especially very interesting, just from how they're written and how they give really good examples of concepts that they're trying to explain and such like that. So I do find that stuff kind of interesting. As for predeterminism, I think it's just kind of silly. Because it's an interesting idea, but it doesn't really make any sense, because the idea is that there's nothing you can do to change anything, and therefore you might as well not even bother. So, yeah. It's kind of a weird way of thinking. It's kind of hard to really delve into without getting into a lot of specifics, so I'm not going to do that here. But it's this chain of events idea where you can't really interfere with anything. So I don't really believe in that. I do believe people can make a difference. So I find it kind of an interesting idea, but other than that, nothing really much. Next one is from Vazzy Dean. Human bioprosthetics. Are you up to date on how they've advanced in the last few years? And it may be 20 or so years when they'll be closer to actually fade that line between flesh and machine, that they'll just start working like the natural arm itself, maybe even surpassing it. Oh man, that's a sentence. Anyway, do you think you'll get into the position at that point that you will replace any of your limbs? The only reason I would replace any of my limbs is if they just fell off or something. If they literally just stopped working and there was nothing that anybody could do to fix them, then yes, I would replace them. But other than that, I don't see any reason to. I don't feel like upgrading my strength by just getting this prosthetic arm or something like that. That just doesn't make any sense to me. I can see where some people would be willing to do that, but it's just not me. But I haven't really kept up to date on the bioprosthetics lately, but I do find them interesting. I haven't really had time to look them up. That's not really my field. I'm into computers and such, so that's something I haven't kept up with as much as I probably would like to, but I know they've advanced very considerably in the past several years, and that's very encouraging, especially to people who have, say, lost limbs in wars or something like that, and they can get those replaced, and they're at peak performance. So that's great stuff. But yeah, I wouldn't really replace any of my limbs unless I had to. Next one is from It's Red Snow. Should all games have branching storylines? Which games do you think should have them or would benefit from them? Role-playing games almost need them. In fact, they do need them. Because if you don't have a branching storyline of some description, then your decisions don't matter. You're not doing any role-playing. You're just going along for the ride. If you don't affect things in the world, it's not actually a role-playing game. Now, you don't have to make the most mind-blowing changes ever or anything. You don't have to decide the fate of the world around you necessarily. But your decisions should impact what happens. And they should noticeably and often dramatically affect it. That doesn't happen in most role-playing games, so they really need to do that. At least have multiple endings or something like that. I mean, come on. But other things that might benefit from them, certain games that give you multiple ways to play would probably be better to have branching storylines of some description. Not necessarily anything mind-blowing or anything to the level of a role-playing game, for instance, but give you certain subtleties here and there. Like Dishonored did this fairly well, from what I can hear, but just change things depending on how you actually end up playing the game. But other than that, there's really not a lot of genres that would really benefit from branching storylines. Next one is from Q.543. What do you think about the ambitions of the Fable series, not the games themselves? I don't really think they were all that ambitious. I mean, they're just kind of generic action adventure games with role-playing elements, and they never really progressed beyond that. Poor Molyneux, he had such great ideas, but none of them work out. And I don't really know why that is, but the ambitions of the series to begin with were actually very high, and I was very interested in them. But then it came out, and it's like, oh, this isn't that good. Oh well. So yeah, I'm not that a big fan of the ambitions there. And the last one is from Omega Wolf Studios 8. Would you like it if Apple just faded away? I wouldn't really care. I don't care one way or the other about Apple. I don't like them per se, but it's more of the fact that a lot of Apple fans think themselves extremely superior no matter what, even though their systems aren't technically superior. So that gets on my nerves. But other than that, I don't really care that they're around. And that's it for today. So I will catch you guys in later videos, and make sure to keep asking questions.